back to my channel. My name is Mary Rose and this is just the iLogs. And for this video, I'm planning to cook ground beef in 3 different ways. Our family of 7, I have a family of 7 including myself, we love to eat meat, and ground beef is really easy and quick to cook, especially on those weekdays when you don't really have a lot of time. So I'm going to cook 3 different recipes for you. So the first recipe for ground beef I am going to be using is basically a really easy dish. It's ground beef and vegetables, and whatever vegetables you want to use, but the ones that we tend to use are carrots, peas, and corn. We have used the Normandy frozen vegetables from Costco, which has carrots, it has broccoli, it has cauliflower, it has other few vegetables, and you can do that as well. But we like to use those little pea-sized vegetables, and that way we can actually use that recipe and include it into a second dish. The second dish is exactly what I'm talking about, is taking that leftover first meal with the carrots, peas, and corn and ground beef, and we're gonna make it into an omelet. My mother-in-law has made that before. She's just kind of like overcooked it, for my opinion, but it did taste good. Thank you, Mom. And then the last recipe is another really easy recipe. It's kind of like a Filipino dish. I don't have a name for it, but we use this really long squash called opo. Now, if you cannot find that long squash, alternatively you can use those yellow neck squash, or the green squash is fine, or whatever squash you prefer. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of shopping just to get those items that's necessary for the 3 meals, and I'm going to show you how I quickly cook them. Okay, so there's a huge curveball in my day. I was supposed to go to Costco and get some ground beef, and instead my son asked me to go somewhere, and that took longer than expected. Oh, I gotta get some corn too. And then my husband said, oh, let's go to the thrift store, that's an hour away, and that was another adventure. So here I am, instead of Costco, I'm at Walmart. Hey there, here I am. Makeup is not so fresh anymore. It was super hot outside. I feel like I'm melting away. So I got the peas, carrots, and corns for the first recipe. And the main attraction to these dishes are the ground beef. This is 80% lean, and the other one here is 93% fat. So of course this is going to cost more. This actually costs, let's see, $5.64 a pound, while the 80% costs $3.93 a pound. So you know me, I need to get the cheaper one. I'm not sure this is gonna fit, or this is gonna be enough for all 3 dishes, so I might get a smaller package for the 3rd dish. Alright, so why not 2 packages, because we love to eat meat, and that will be for the 3rd dinner. 10 pounds of ground beef and 3 packages of veggies cost $43.18. That was 10 pounds of ground beef that you saw me purchase. And what I'll do to divide into 3 dishes is I'll take 4 pounds for 1 dish for the first dish, and 4 pounds for the 3rd dish. So I'll be left with 2 pounds for the second dish, because it's going to be made into an omelet, so I have more protein and not just meat. And I think that will be enough for the second dish. Alright, so we're gonna head home now, and I'm gonna just batch cook this meat, and then that way it will be easier for me to cook the rest of the dish. These are really easy recipes. They shouldn't take too long to cook, and that's the whole idea of these 3 ground beef dinner dishes. Finally, we're home. It's gonna be a late dinner for us, and it usually is, and so I'm gonna go ahead and start cooking these 10 pounds of ground beef. I got a baby kitchen, but I'm proud of it, and it's functional for the past 14 years. One of these days, hopefully, I can get it remodeled, but it served me well. Alright, so I'm going to add salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder to start, and then once it's cooked, I'm going to empty out the fat. I'm going to actually chop up some fresh garlic, fresh onion, and then I'm going to re-saute the meat to give it more flavor. Salt, pepper, garlic powder. Everything is just unmeasured. This is not nearly enough, but I'm just gonna add this to start, and then the onion powder. I got you guys at a weird angle, but this is what I can do as of this moment. I'm just gonna mash everything together. I'm also gonna cover this so it can cook faster. Alright, I gotta empty this pot, empty the fat without burning myself. Okay, I gotta do a taste test. Perfect amount of salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. I was heavy-handed with the garlic powder, and that's how I like it. I have to remember that I have to divide this for 3 dishes. So it's supposed to be 4 pounds for the first dish, which is going to be tonight, 2 pounds for the second dish, and 4 pounds for the third dish. Now obviously I'm not going to go by weights, I'm just going to eyeball it. So I'm going to do the best I can to try to divide it according to the amount of meat I need for the dishes. Here's the fat and the juices that came out from the meat. It looks like it's a hefty 1 to 2 pounds of liquid. So I did the best that I can, or I could, to separate the meat. First dish, second dish. This dish is going to be mixed with vegetables, and then I'm going to take some out, and hopefully it's going to be enough. And this one I'm going to make in 2 days. It's going to go in the refrigerator for now. I actually enjoy chopping up the onions and the garlic. I used to hate it, but I'm enjoying it now. But oh my gosh, the eyes, my eyes, it just burns so much. So I have a love-hate relationship with onions. Now it's time to add the onions. In a separate pot I have the veggies, and I do this because when I add soy sauce it actually discolors the vegetables and it makes it look dark. So just for presentation I cook it separately, and when this is done I mix it in with the meat. I added about half a cup of water, and I am going to cover it, but I can't find my cover to this pot, so I'm just going to put a plate right over. Onion and garlic is brown. Now let's add the meat. And then give it a mix. It smells really good. If you like onion and garlic, you're going to love these dishes. But if you don't like onion and garlic so much, then you can kind of back off. Adding the fresh onion and garlic is optional. The powdered onion and the powdered garlic is sufficient. But I like to give it a good flavor, so I add the fresh onion and garlic. I'm going to let that saute for a few minutes. I'm going to wait for the vegetables to cook, and then I'm going to mix it together. Oh, I also have to add some soy sauce, not too much because it is salty enough, and a little bit of ketchup to the dish. You want to brown the meat until you see some caramelization on the bottom. Not burnt, but caramelization, and then you can add some soy sauce. And the ketchup. And then I add ketchup. You can add as much or as little. It depends how this thing looks or tastes. So right now I'm going to put just about that much. I would say 1/3 of a cup. I just added a little bit more soy sauce, and now I'm going to go ahead and add the vegetables. There shouldn't be too much water in the vegetables. That's why I only added about half a cup. Oops. And now we're going to go ahead and mix it together. And once you mix it together, it should be done. So you see how the vegetables are nice and vibrant if you don't add it in. and then add the soy sauce. It stays nice and bright. I'm gonna let that cook for a couple minutes, and then after that I do have to separate it for the second dish. And then we're waiting for the hot rice. So once that's cooked, dinner is served. Here's the meat that I reserved for tomorrow's dinner. And you see it has the vegetables, the garlic, the onion, and we're gonna make this into an omelet. So you don't need a whole lot of meat if you're gonna be making into an omelet. And then for the third day of dinner, this is the meat I reserved, and we're going to be adding a very long squash, and actually I'm gonna be adding with it some shrimp. So again, I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator and we're gonna save it for when we need it. And we still have a good helping of meat and vegetable for tonight. And if there's any left over, I can add it for tomorrow's dish. And I'm thinking that nope, these kids are gonna eat this up. And here's my dinner for today. This is the first ground beef dinner. We still have 2 more to cook. And you see it because I cooked all the ground beef together. Tomorrow's dish and the day after, Monday, it won't be so hard to cook because I already pre-cooked the meat. All right, so the kids are gonna have to wait a little longer. The rice is not done yet, but they're gonna finish that food tonight, I can tell you right now. All right, so I'll see you tomorrow for tomorrow's dinner. Hey guys, it's day 2. This is the second recipe for ground beef, and the meat is already cooked, so this is gonna be very quick and easy to cook. So today I filmed a cruise prep. This is a pretty big cruise prep. So it's already the end of the night, and I'm glad that I cooked this beef yesterday. So that's gonna make my night easier. Starting off, you want a very hot pan before you add the oil, and then it's gonna make the pan non-stick. Hot pan, cold oil makes a pan non-stick. We take 3 eggs and we're gonna crack it in this bowl. This is where the meat was stored in the refrigerator, so it's okay, it's still clean. And my son is gonna go ahead and help me do that. Spices that we're using is gonna be garlic powder, pepper, onion powder, a little bit of chili powder, and some cilantro. A dash of garlic, a dash of pepper, same thing with the onion powder, and it's all eyeball, and just a tad of chili powder, and then the cilantro, and then we're going to go ahead and mix that up. Okay, you could add another egg if you want, but usually this is what works for us with the 3 eggs. I added a little bit too much oil, so I took some out, and now we're gonna go ahead and add our egg mixture. So usually at this point, I'll quickly go and make more eggs. Let me lower the heat just a little bit so it doesn't burn. At this point, the bottom is cooked but not the top, so what I do is that I just kind of move the egg aside and let some of the uncooked egg flow to the bottom. Okay, now I can go ahead and add the meat. This meat was already warmed up, so we don't have to cook it too much. It should be nice and warmed up already. So we're just gonna add enough to put into the middle. And that's why you don't need a whole lot of meat for this recipe, because you have the egg as protein as well. It looks like it's getting cooked. We're gonna go ahead and flip this. And sometimes it doesn't come out pretty, but it's still gonna come out good. So I like to fold it in 3. I also take a fork to help me flip it. I'm gonna lower the heat. I like the smaller pan. If I use a bigger pan, it's hard to fold it like this. So we're gonna let that cook for a few seconds, and then we're gonna flip and we're gonna cook it on the other side. Now we're gonna go ahead and flip it so this side can cook a little bit longer. Again, this doesn't take long to cook. This should be very quick. And you can adjust the heat as you need it. I usually don't like the egg to be overcooked like this. I like to be this color right here. All right, so that's done. And that's omelet number 1. I'm going to cook one more omelet to show you, and then I'll show you after it's all done. I'm going to increase the heat just a little bit. So again, I'm going to take that extra uncooked egg on the top and just kind of guide it to the bottom. And then put the meat again. It's okay if there's a lump over here. It'll work out. So it looks like it's about 2 to 3 tablespoons of meat per omelet. It's time to flip. We do the third. Oh, I'm going to lower the heat. It's getting too cooked. Nope. This is getting a little bit messy. That's okay. Not all the omelets are going to look pretty. I'm afraid if I flip this whole thing is going to open up. So what I'll do is I'm just going to place it on the plate like this. Okay, not bad. So I messed a little bit on that second omelet, but that's okay. It's still gonna taste good. I'm gonna finish cooking the omelet. I'm thinking I'm gonna do maybe another 5 omelets, and then I'll show you the final product. Okay, dinner is done. It took us about 35 minutes to cook 8 omelets. And you can see the beginning, they were kind of like overcooked. And as we got more and more practice, we got the right color and right consistency. So you can stretch this dish even farther. If you had potato, you just kind of cut the potato in small cubes. You can fry it, you can bake it a little bit, and then add it to your meat mixture, and then add it to the egg. We serve this with hot rice, and you can serve 1 omelet per person, or if it's a small child, you can feed them half the omelets. How would you grade this, Jeffrey, from 0 to 10, 10 being the best?
10.
A 10. He knows what to say. I'm his mom. Thanks, Jeff. Dish number 2 with ground beef is done. You see how fast that was. And you could make this low carb if you just omit the corn. And the peas, you know, it depends. It depends how much carbs you want in your meal. And you work that out. I use a Carb Manager app when I was on keto, but I don't do that anymore. I do eat the whole omelet without rice, and that would be my low carb meal. We have one more dinner with ground beef. That's going to be tomorrow. And I have to buy that long squash called opa. And I do remember there's an Indian store near my house that also sells that, or something similar to it. So that's what I'll be buying. I also need some shrimp. I want to add a little shrimp to the dinner and give it a little bit more protein. So that's going to be tomorrow's dish. That shouldn't take too hard to cook, but I do got to cut that squash and cut it up, and that's going to serve a whole meal. Alright guys, I'm going to see you tomorrow, and I also have to finish filming my cruise prep haul, and the portion of it that I have to film is the clothes, and that's going to take a bit. Alright, so it was a very long day for me. I was filming the whole day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye!
Bye! Until tomorrow. Alright, this is exactly what I need, and I have to go to the Asian grocery store, at least the Filipino grocery store, because that's further off. So this is the long squash. It doesn't say opo, it just says long squash Indian. And the longer the squash, this is $2.29. There is a shorter version, and that's $1.49 a pound. But this looks good. This is what I'm going to get to cook the last ground beef dish. They also have long beans or asparagus beans. They don't look as fresh, but if you need to cook them today, that would be good enough. And it looks like it's $4.49 a pound. I'm going to get both squash because I do want to see the difference between the two. Let's grab this. Okay. These mangoes smell so fragrant. I can smell it as I'm passing by. It looks like they're selling it for $10 a box? I'm gonna go and ask them. There's also other mangoes here. So the mango did cost $10 a box, and there's 8 big mangoes. You can see a lot of them is ripe. And so I'm going to be cutting some of the mangoes today for the kids' dessert I should say. And then the long squash, this was pricey. It's pretty big, that's why. And this came out to $10, and then the little squash came out to $2.65. Here's how the long squash looks like when you cut it up. If the squash is picked too late and it's too mature, you'll notice that the seeds are hard and this will be difficult to eat. You could scoop it up, but then you're wasting a lot of the vegetable. And as I look at it, it looks like it's okay. We can eat this. This is gonna be all right, and I don't have to take out the seeds and waste it. I'll cut this up to 1 to 1.5 inches, and that will be good because it is gonna shrink when you cook it. And then I have extra onion and garlic because I want this to have an extra flavor. This beef is actually 2 days old now, so I want to just enhance the flavor with more onion and garlic. I actually missed a day. Yesterday I was so exhausted. I was busy doing my YouTube thing, and so I asked my husband to cook pizza for dinner instead. So yeah, this is a couple days, actually no, is it 3 days old now? I wouldn't go beyond 3 days. If you're gonna go longer, I would suggest you put the meat in the freezer. The thing about ground beef is that it's versatile. You can add any vegetable, any other protein, and it's a completely new dish. I forgot to add, or I forgot to buy the shrimp, so that's not gonna be in today's dinner. But this is gonna be good enough. This is a lot of squash. I could cut up the second squash, but I think that's gonna be too much for the amount of meat that I have. I decided to go ahead and cut up the smaller squash because I'm really hungry and I need to bring some food with me to work. So if you notice, the seeds are a little bit smaller, but other than that, it does look similar to the long squash. Here's a squash cut up. This is the long squash on this side, and this is the short squash. They look very similar. The onion and garlic is brown enough. I just have to hurry up for work, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the ground beef. And then we're just gonna keep this up and mix it, and then we should be able to add the vegetables from here. I just added the squash, and I totally forgot I was filming. So here it is, the squash filled the pot. I could have used my 16 quart, but it was dirty and I didn't feel like washing it. So here I added a little bit of water because the bottom was too dry. The meat didn't have enough like moisture in it. So I added enough so I can steam the vegetable. I'm gonna cover it now and I'm gonna let it cook. I'm gonna let it cook for about 5 minutes. I'm gonna mix it and then let it cook for another 5 minutes, and I think that should be done by then. I'm glad I added that second squash because you can see how much that squash cooked down. It was full to the very top. Now it's about 3/4. So you do need a lot of squash for this dish, and what I put in here was the right amount. And you can see it's a good proportion of meat and vegetable. So it looks like it's done. When you try to stick a fork through it, the outside is harder than the inside. So I could stick a fork in the middle. The outside is slightly tough, but I like that. And then it's still hot, so you can basically shut off the heat at this point and it'll continue to cook. Here's my dinner. It looks very, very delicious. And I don't eat rice, but my kids will, and they're gonna pour this on top of the rice, and this is how the dish will stretch out a little bit more. So that's really easy. The third dish of the ground beef dinners. And those mangoes that I bought, this was really ripe and juicy. My son's already eating one. I don't eat the mango because it has high carb, and right now I'm trying to behave. So, but otherwise I would eat a whole mango to myself. So there you go, 3 very easy ground beef dinners. It cooks very fast once you get that batch of meat cooked, and it's versatile. You can add any vegetable, any protein you want, and you can make multiple recipes for this. But this is the 3 easy ones that I showed you today. I do plan to make more. I'm supposed to add shrimp into this, but I forgot, but that's okay because we have plenty to eat. So go ahead and try to cook these dinners. They're delicious, they're easy, they're low on the wallet or on the budget, and they taste great. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a like, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching again. I'll see you next time. Bye!